We've really planned today as a kind of exploratory discussion. The idea was to try to find people right across the university and people who are nearby or connected with the university who have an interest in thinking about research methods and social responsibility. And really to try and compare the ways in which we understand responsibility and to consider how we judge the value or the dangers or the impact of the research that we do. And how we confront the growing demand to ensure that not simply that our research is responsible, which in a way I think probably people have always thought about, but we are now increasingly required to demonstrate some kind of social responsibility. So we thought it would be very important to try and think across different disciplines of how that topic is being approached, but also in the kinds of people and worlds that we study, how other professionals outside academia also deal with this issue of social responsibility. And I just wanted to kick off with a very short example from my ethnographic work. I'm an anthropologist. I work ethnographically in Peru. And I've been working on some large road construction projects with civil engineers. And I was very struck one day when I was listening to a senior engineer lecturing the junior recruits who were on the program. And basically, when these big construction teams move into small villages in the Andean highlands where I was working, about 2,000 people emerge into maybe a village of only about 500 people. And so he was basically emphasizing to them that they have to make every effort not to disturb or disrupt people's lives. And he's referring, of course, to the concern that the company might have not to make a negative impact, not to disturb established customs, ideas, or relationships. Now, you might think that is a kind of good example of social responsibility. But in fact, it's a very profoundly ambiguous statement, given that the construction programs are explicitly designed to utterly transform the spaces in which they are appearing, and that's what people are hoping for and also expecting. So already this thing's kind of starting to look rather more complicated. On top of that, the company also feels the social responsibility to fully train its own workforce, the majority of whom are actually local people. So that basically trying to show them how to live better lives, how to kind of protect the environment, how to work safely, how to kind of ensure basic hygiene. So a lot of these ideas of how to give people better lives actually ran very directly against local understandings of what the best way to kind of promote sustainability or healthy living or reliable relations. So I just wanted to kind of throw that in because that was one of the things that brought me to wanting to discuss these topics, the tensions about how we identify or kind of locate what it means to be socially responsible in very complex environments in which most of us are working, and also to consider the difficulty of who actually gets to locate or decide what public benefit actually is. And so these ideas of where the social is, where the responsibility lies, all those kind of things I think are up for grabs, and different speakers today will hopefully address them in different ways. And I'm just going to finish before I introduce my first speakers. I just thought it'd be useful to let you know what their starting point was, because we circulated a little blurb and a set of questions to all our speakers, and they're not all going to address everything, and they're all going to come at it from quite different angles, but I thought it might be useful. So we were basically starting from the idea that most researchers are interested in how their methods are implicated in the organization and administration and transformation of social and economic life. And most people accept that methods in general are also quite open-ended interventions. Our methods also actively shape the worlds that we're researching in the way that we form our problems, the relationships, the situations. Those kind of things are also very much part of what we do. And I think, again, it's very clear that most people work with an understanding that it is important to have some kind of ethic of care in the conduct of your social research. But then it's quite different to think about, is there a way of standardizing or regulating that kind of ethic? So university ethics committees are obviously very important, and they are charged with overseeing research procedures, as we all know. But their primary responsibility is to the university and to ensuring that our legally defined responsibilities are actually met as a body of researchers. But beyond this, the concept of social responsibility is really something that's quite open, and that every individual researcher also has to, beyond the kind of legal responsibility, has to work out in relation to their own research what that actually means. And I think that's what we're really trying to explore today. So 4 or 5 questions that we set our speakers to choose between or to combine. One is, when is it important to make a difference, and when is it important to avoid such intervention? The second, in what situations should a research research should protect and defend the privacy of those with whom they work, and when is transparency and openness more valuable? The kind of WikiLeaks scandals are kind of example of that. Thirdly, what counts as responsible reporting? Is it more socially responsible to practice to produce robust replicable research findings, or would it be better to acknowledge the importance of uncertainty over tidy, as I like to call them, causal explanations? And I think we'll get quite a lot of disciplinary differences in response to that kind of questions. Can participatory methods enhance social responsibility, or will such methods always draw researchers back to the promotion of particular interests and values? And finally, what social responsibilities do we have to future generations? And this really relates to the ways in which we might want to archive our research materials or make them accessible to people coming after us.